Okay guys, so I recently just installed Ubuntu Linux. As you can see here, we got everything up and running, and I decided, well, okay, so I'm getting kind of bored, right? I've already played around with some of the settings again. Why don't we make a game? So I thought I'd show you all how to make a game within Unity with Linux, Ubuntu to be exact. First off, you want to head over to your web browser. In your web browser, you want to type in unity.com. So inside of here, you want to click on Get Started, Individual, you want to click on Personal. Don't do that, or else you're going to have to pay a crap ton of money. So again, click on Personal. Click on Returning Users. If you have used Unity before, click on I accept and download Unity Hub. Now, okay, so once that is done downloading, what we're going to do is we're going to head over into Downloads, which is where it should end up. I right-clicked on mine and then moved it over to the desktop. So what you're going to do is you're going to right-click on it, click on Properties, Permissions, Allow as, or Allow Execute as Program, or Allow File Execute as Program. So now if you double-click on it, you'll notice that, oh, what's that? Unity Hub pops up. Okay, so now that you have Unity Hub, all you gotta do is head over to Installs, head over to Add, and add any version that you want. I recommend the official releases. If you want some extra features or stuff like that, head over to the pre-releases. Okay, so now we have a problem. Coding, or programming. I personally prefer to say programming, but code. So you can't just open up Office Writer or something and just program away with that. You gotta have an app that's dedicated to that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna head over into the Ubuntu App Store. What you can do is you can just, or to get to it, you can just go to Show Applications. It should be pinned. If it's not, just head over to Show All Applications and Ubuntu Software. Head over to the top left and click on Search and type in Visual Studio Code. Now this is the personal one that I prefer. You can do any other IDE, but I prefer Visual Studio, and Visual Studio hasn't been released for Linux, so Visual Studio Code is the best that you'll get for now. Okay, so I'm gonna type. All you have to do is just type in your password, and you'll see that it is now installing. You can look down at the requirements, like the download size is only 100 megabytes, which is very small. It supports a crap ton of languages. Yeah, overall the program, it's pretty good. Alright, so I mean, if this doesn't work and you're using, for instance, like Arch Linux, which I haven't used, I've only used Debian, or Ubuntu, which is a Debian branch of Linux. You can just head over to Visual Studio Code download Linux. You can just type that in. It'll bring up visualstudiocode.download or .com/download. You click on. So if you're using any like Fedora, SUSE, or Red Hat, you're gonna want that. If you're using Debian Linux or Ubuntu, you're gonna want to download this .deb file. I recommend that you guys have the Ubuntu App Store or Software Store, so then you're able to download it seamlessly like this, and then it just so happens to pop up in your downloads. Oh, Sudoku. Okay, sorry, I'm getting. Alright, so the app is backtracking. Perfect. Alright, well, so yeah, once that's done, we'll show you how to set up a Unity project. and how to actually make a game. Like, I'll just show you very simple, basic starter code for moving a player around. I don't recommend that you use this. I recommend that you check out my other tutorial, which I was using Windows on for that, on player movement, which is a Battle Royale thing, I think. Oh, okay, I have bad news. Since I factory reset the computer, I lost that game, so bummer. Same thing would happen to Unknown Survivor. Alright, well, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna edit this out, but I mean, we have a whole bunch of options, but personally I would prefer to use Visual Studio Code. It's basically Visual Studio, except here's the difference. Instead of having in Visual Studio, you would have a big folder with all your projects, and Visual Studio Code, you have like tabs of each individual file, instead of just a big project with all the files in that project. So you're going to have to double click on each individual set if you want to edit that. Alright, it's about to be finished. Okay. Dang. Alright, well, here. Oh, dang it. Alright, well, in just a few more seconds this will be done. Oh yeah, here's a good thing to do with the Linux in general. Keep an eye on your storage, because it can just go down in a second. Alright. Okay. I bet it's gonna backtrack again. Alright. So once Visual Studio Code has been downloaded, you're gonna scroll down and you're gonna open up Visual Studio Code. I'll show you how to set up like the Unity libraries and everything. Now, over here you have Visual Studio Code. You have a whole bunch of stuff. Now, in order to actually get Unity to work, you're going to want to click on this, the Extensions tab, by pressing Ctrl-Shift-X, or just clicking on the button, and type in Unity. There should be a package over here. Crap. Okay. Unity Debugger. Okay. How to install. So I believe. Alright, well, I think that's good. So now just reopen up the Unity hub and I'll show you how to make a first game. So click on New. We're going to make a simple 3D project. I'm just going to call this Starters. Click on Create and let Unity do its thing. So right now it's just compiling all the stuff that it needs to do for the project to be in working order. Now, my projects are stored on my terabyte volume, or terabyte hard drive, and you can see it's right over here. I will also show you how to port over to Linux, or build over to Linux, so when we're done programming the player and everything. Okay, we'll just use rigid bodies. And I don't have much storage on this thing. Alright, so it's importing data, and we're gonna have to run through a few things before we actually get the game working. Like various settings that we have to do. This is gonna be my first time actually porting to a Linux device, so it should be fun. Okay, so once your Unity editor has opened up in a weird way, let me just very quickly scale this stuff over to this side, over to this side. Okay, So once Unity has opened up, what we're going to do is head over to Project Settings. Mine's over here. You can access it by going to Edit, Project Settings. Head over to Player Settings, and type in your company. Numpad. Alright, set 6502. That's my company name. You don't need to copy that. So other settings, you have a whole bunch of other settings for the actual building of the app, and a whole bunch of stuff like that. Alright, for physics, I recommend doing, for fixed time set, type 10, delete the 0, and then divide it by 90. Okay. So let's make the player. Alright, we're going to delete this main camera. I'm going to make a new and empty, and I'm going to call this environment. So environment will house the directional light, and so I'll have default lighting. I think I spelled that wrong. So inside of here, you want to turn off baked and turn on real time, and then inside of lighting, just click on apply. Alright, so now let's make a ground, let's make some ground so that the player can't just fall infinitely. I'll set it to about maybe like 2 by 2. And then in empty, we're gonna make a new game object. I'm gonna call this player. Reset. I'll give it a mesh filter, and this is gonna be a classic old cube, and we're gonna get a mesh renderer with just the most generic old material ever. We're here actually make a new folder. I'm gonna call it player. Inside of player, we'll add a new folder called materials, and I'll make a new material, and I'll call it player M standing for material, and we'll just drag that over to the player and very simply plop them down to a gray color and no reflections. Alright, well, here's a problem. He can't necessarily move, and he doesn't have any collision. First off, to add collision, just type in box collider, and you'll see green boy around cube. Then type in rigid body, and you'll have physics. Now, I recommend constraining all rotation. Well, we'll be able to rotate the player, but otherwise, yeah. So I'll have like a little camera, and oops. All we're gonna do, so we're gonna have something like this, and then maybe, so we'll have it maybe in like the center. Yeah, and then over here, all you have to do is change it to orthographic, and we have a nice looking, I don't know what the hell that is, sort of a thing. Okay. I almost got scared there for a minute. So, alright, well, if we click on play, you'll notice something. He just falls. You can't, WSAD doesn't do anything. First off, let's reassign input. So inside of input manager, I like setting it to 0, and then all the way over to 4. Or actually no, we can just set it to 2. So we'll have vertical, which will be positive W, negative S, and horizontal, positive D, negative A, and also gravity, set that to 100, dead 0.001, and sensitivity 3. Same thing with vertical, gravity 100, 0.001, and 3. Okay. So now let's get it so that the player has a script. So we'll make a new folder. Scripts. Alright. You're gonna make a new C# script. I'll call it player movement. Make sure you have no spaces in your scripts, because that's a huge mistake that most beginners do. we don't realize it until we keep on Googling, or in my case, binging random stuff on the internet until we find out that we made a mistake, a huge one. Okay, so now we have to assign Visual Studio. So inside of Preferences, Edit Preferences, External Tools, you want to select your script editor. Ah, crap. Okay, starters. I think what we can do is we can just do this. So inside of here, or actually, hold on, we can just double click on the script and it opens it up in a notepad editor, which is not what we want. So File, Open File, Other Locations. What? Oh, they didn't register names correctly. Okay, Games, Starters, Assets, Player, Scripts, and Player Movement. Okay. Oh, it did work. Perfect. Now what you have to do is, let's make a few variables. Let's have a public. Ah, crap. So some things didn't port over. Alright, so all we need is a public rigid body. I'll call this RB. And public float move speed. So I'll have a private void movement, and we'll also have a private vector2 input private vector3 player velocity. And then all we have to do is, this is going to be a very simple thing to do, guys. So, player input equals new vector2 0 0. I like doing that first. And then all we got to do is input dot get axes, and this is going to be horizontal, and input dot get axes vertical. Alright, well, hold on, we just missed something, sorry. And then multiply that by move speed, and then player input equals vector2 dot clamp magnitude. I think I spelled that correctly. Okay, clamp magnitude, sorry. Then you just do player input and move speed. Now we're gonna have a vector2 or vector3 equals vector3 dot, or no, transform dot forward times player input dot x, no, dot y times, I don't think we need to multiply by anything else, vector3 right movement transform dot right times player input dot x. The final thing, player velocity equals f movement plus right movement rb dot velocity player velocity. I wouldn't normally do rb dot velocity. I'm just doing it in this case so it's faster. Alright, well, now that it's compiled the code, we have a few errors. In where exactly? So let's look at the errors. Script. Syntax error. Line 24. So if we look... What? Yo, what? Oh, hold up, first off. Okay, that's better. Syntax error. Alright, line 825. Oh wait, hold up. Oh, 824. If I just double click on this, oh. Wait, hold up. So it says, comma expected, but where's the comma? do we need to do this? Or does Unity not prefer that? I'm so sorry. I just, 24, 25, they have nothing, so it's the first two. Okay, public rigid body. Now it's saying it's expecting a comma. I honestly don't see. Oh, hold up. Line 8, column 24, comma. There's not supposed to be a comma there. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. Just because I'm trying to see if anything works. Okay, it's compiling correctly now. Something is working, so something is working. Alright, so what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna paste this in, and I'm gonna just copy and steal little by little at a time. Okay, so it is that public rigid body. RV. Oh! Okay. That is a big brain moment and a stupid moment at the same time. Okay. So drag your rigid body into there and set move speed to like 4. Now when you press, you'll see your cube is moving perfect. Alright, well, let's say Mr. Cube wants to be more physical. So we're gonna do rigid body dot add force, and we're gonna do player velocity. However, there's gonna be a problem. So we're gonna have to do rigid body dot velocity equals vector 3 dot clamp magnitude, and that's gonna be a new float inside of here called terminal velocity. So we're going to clamp rb dot velocity to terminal velocity. So what is this saying? Well, it's saying that if it goes, we're basically going to limit the speed so that it doesn't go apeshit. Okay, so now if we were to press play again, set terminal velocity to like 10 or something. Okay, if you see like very little movement, just increase the move speed, and you'll notice that your game is working better. However, there's one thing I would change about this. So we're basically doing a full-on make a mini game in 30 minutes and waste a crap ton of your hard drive storage. Okay, so let's make the camera better. So to do this, what we can do is we can make another script called camera follow. Just making sure. Okay, so camera follow. This script is what this is gonna tell the game okay, I want this to follow that, and we're going to tell it how. So we're going to open the file, camera follow.cs. First off, we want a public transform. I'm going to call this player body, and then a public float move smoothness. Now all we need to do is just change this to fixed update and do transform dot position equals vector 3 dot lerp. What is a lerp? So it basically smoothens the transition between one thing to another thing. So we're going to do transform dot position player body dot position and then move smoothness. Okay, well, now that we have that, we're gonna drag the player body onto here, and I like doing 0.125. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll fix up the camera just by a little bit. I like snapping it. Oh god, okay, so we can see we have a few issues with near and far planes. Okay, so now you'll notice we have a problem. We have a huge freaking problem. Okay, didn't I set this to like 60 and this to 10? But here's what we're going to need to do. So we're going to make a private vector3 old lock, or OG lock. We're going to do this. So OG lock equals transform dot position, and then player body dot position plus OG lock. Basically, we're saying, okay, we're going to add the camera's original position to it, so then it doesn't go straight into the cube. We want it to go away from the cube at a pivot. So now you'll notice the camera is looking a lot smoother. And yeah, that's basically how you make a game. So, we're going to add to open scenes, and we're going to build it to Linux. So all you have to do is click on build. We're going to make a new folder. Add folder, plus, okay. So we're going to call this testing. Now testing, name, simple game. I'll save that. And you'll see that Unity will get straight to work on actually building the game to Linux. So it's compiling the scripts. This takes a good minute or two on some of the best computers. It takes a lot longer on slower, older computers. Ubuntu is a pretty lightweight operating system, if I do say so myself. Yeah, this is taking a little bit. But yeah, if you look inside of the folder as we speak, I'll just do that so I can see it. So if we click on starters, assets, not assets, testing, you'll see it's empty. So it's still compiling our scripts, and I think we need to exit out of that for it to work. Or I'm just a dumbass, which is probably me just being a dumbass. Okay, well, that was basically how you make a game for Ubuntu Linux. You should be able to know how to, I think it's the same thing for the Unity setup in order to do the rest of the stuff, but I hope you learned something today, along with me, learning how to make a game for Linux. And yeah, I hope you all have a great day. See ya.